Okay, so we're going to talk today about the Tabs palette. And to use the Tabs palette, we need to include tabs between our items that we've created. So in this case, I've created some information and I've added tab spaces in between the items. And the first thing that would make this workable, usable, easy to deal with is if you go to Type and you go down to Show Hidden Characters, and then it will actually show you the tabs involved. So in this case, this is a tab indicator, that's a paragraph indicator. So you can see that I have a single tab between each of these items. Generally, unless there's a space that's actually being skipped, when we work with tabs in InDesign, we try to keep a really clean document and we try to have just a single tab between each item. Multiple tabs, you are probably used to using multiple tabs in order to space things. But in InDesign, we use single tabs and we use the tab control in order to actually place things rather than rely on the default tabs in InDesign. The default tabs in InDesign are actually set to every ½ an inch. You can't see them because they're the defaults. And so I'm going to go to Type, and I'm going to go to Tabs or Command-Shift-T, and that creates this tab device. Now, it's not actually attached to the text box. So that can be an issue. You really want to align it with whatever text box that you're using. I'm going to, in this case, select this text because we can't really work with the tab indicator unless we've actually selected the text that we're going to work with. And I think if we hit this position panel above text frame, you'll see that it automatically locks to that text frame. We can make this wider than our text frame, and you can see that this little arrow here indicates the end of the text box. Okay, bunch of controls. So we have some text here that we've selected, and I'm going to start off by clicking my right justified tab, and I'm going to click on this gray bar just above the ruler. You can't actually click on the ruler, you actually have to click on the gray bar above the ruler, and you can see that that adds a right-hand aligned tab. And so I could then add another one over here, and you can see that it lines the text up exactly at that place, like that. So I could do this as just a series of left aligned or right aligned tabs, and I can in fact click on that tab and move it. And so I have some nicely spaced text, and it's spaced exactly where I want it. Now we also have some other options for our tabs. I can select this tab and I can click left align, in which case it'll align like that. I can click center, in which case it'll center it. And then there is a align to decimal, and that will align it on the decimal. And so I'm going to click on this, bring that back down. You can see that if I click here and I go to line to decimal, it'll align it like that. And so that shows you some ways that we can align text. We could, in fact, add some more information. I'm going to click off of here, add another tab, pounds, LBS. Or just do it this way, pounds. And LBS, BS. And so I could change this. Again, select all of these, click here, tell it to align on, and I can tell it to align on L. And let's see what happens if we do that. That might not work. Align on space. Again. Got it. I had not added that. Align on space, or align on L. And so it aligns the L's, or I could even align on B, align on S. What happens if I do LBS? Okay, lines up with that. So that's a possibility. You'll also notice that our headers here are maybe not perfect. So we could actually select this line of type here, and I could change this tab to center and move it there. I could change that to align on right and move it there. And in this case, align that on the right. And we get a nice little setup there. Then if for some, usually this first line is going to be lined up on the left, but there might be some occasions when you actually want to center those items, in which case you'll actually have to add, I would add another tab, tell it to be centered, and then I have to hit another tab to be able to use that. And then looks like we need another, yep, right. Okay, and so what's happened here is we've kind of made a little bit of a mess. I would want to delete that tab and delete that tab and delete that tab, and that lines everything back up. We can also take these, and I'm going to make that bold. And so I could take this and I could go to my paragraph styles and make this a table header. Okay. And that's a table header. And then this could be another style that I would call new paragraph style table body. Click OK. And then I can reuse that table body. And then if I had some additional text, I can close that for the moment. And pineapples. Pineapples, 500, price $5, total 2,500. Yes. And I can click on my table body. It's interesting. Right, tab. And then I'd have to figure out why the heck this is working this way. Huh. Interesting, and I'd have to go back and figure out why the heck that's working that way. Window, tabs. Okay, so we've got, that goes, and that goes, and that goes. And I get a plus sign, so now I'm going to go redefine style. And so that's now fixed because I had apparently ended up with some extra tabs up here. And so then you have to go back and fix that. Okay, anyway, so nothing works quite the way you expect it to. Command X. Finally, secondly, there's some another feature that we can use here that's particularly useful for tables of contents. So I'm going to select this type here. That bold. Select this type here. And what I want to do is I want to set this up as a table of contents. First thing I can do is click on the ruler, do a right align, and I'm going to pull this all the way over to, come on, back, right onto that arrow. I've got it a little bit too far. There. Okay. So that brings the numbers all the way to the far right, but it would be difficult for somebody to follow this all the way across and to to match up the name with the numbers. And so what we're going to do is add something called a tab leader. So I'm going to, again, select this type. I've selected that tab, and there's this thing called a leader right here. And I can click, and if I click a period, you'll see that it creates what are called tab leaders. And I can space them out a little bit more if, in fact, I add a space. And that actually looks a little bit better. And I could even do this a little bit differently. I could add another tab right there. That gets the tab leader, space, period. And then I click on that tab. And I delete the leader. And I'm going to add another tab. You're probably thinking, what the heck is this guy doing? But what that does is it actually separates the tab leaders from the numbers. And I must have done it that way. Okay. And I can actually get the tab leaders to stop there, which is what I was trying to show, preview. So the tab leaders all stop on a nice even space and kind of like that. So it's important that you have the right amount of text, or that you have the text selected before you do anything. Clearly, as you can see, if I don't have the text selected properly, all kinds of crazy things happen. And like that. And I would take this, and then I would go, I would also create a new paragraph style. Click OK. Table of contents, tab leaders. And now those exist, and I could use those over again as I need to. All right. So that is how to use this Tabs palette. And as you can see, it makes for a nice kind of easy, super clean way of adjusting the spacing of type. And I can go in any case. In fact, I can do this way if I decided I wanted to change some of the spacing. Got it. Command C. There. That's correct. If I wanted to move this a little farther, I can move that like that. Decide that that's okay, and then update the style, redefine style, and everything moves. Go there. redefine style. Okay. And those. That. Redefine style. And so those all could be used again as needed. And this becomes of great use when you're dealing with something like an annual report, which has lots and lots of charts of financial information, but clearly it can be used for other things.